This past week, Season 10 kicked off with guilds, a myriad of quality of life improvements including hit registration and sword combat. The main feature being guilds is presented fantastically as an expansion to captaincy and allows small groups of friends to have shared progression. While the essence of guilds is great, allowing friends to roleplay, earn shared rewards and seamlessly hop in and out, I would say it's been good to feel part of a fleet of ships. But for how good the system is at surface level, it has so much potential that it feels like this is 10% of what guilds could truly be. So here's some things I'd love to be added to guilds to really make them awesome. Let's start off with company alignments. To level up your guild, you can really do one of two things: sell loot to any faction or win in Hourglass PvP. When you get to level 15 and raise an emissary flag, you can then go and sell all your loot to the sovereigns for a 75% bonus. It's a really basic system that forces you to use the sovereigns if you want any meaningful progression, although I guess Hourglass is pretty effective too. Guilds were marketed as social and roleplay features. However, forcing players to use a sovereign emissary pigeonholes players into working with a faction that's the enemy of all factions, since they are representing the Grand Maritime Union. It makes little sense for those aligned with the Reaper's Bones more than anything, despite them now working with the Sovereigns for reasons? In that case, I propose company alignments. This would allow players to choose which faction they are aligned with and increases the gold and reputation for that specific faction while sailing for a guild. Players could choose from the Gold Hoarders, Order of Souls, Merchant Alliance, Hunter's Call, Athena's Fortune, Guardians of Fortune, Reaper's Bones, or the Servants of the Flame. If you raise an emissary and sell loot to that company's representative, you'll get a 50% gold and reputation bonus if you're selling at grade 5, or if you win Hourglass matches while as an emissary of your respective faction. Obviously, this part would just apply to Reaper's Bones and Athena's Fortune. This way, players could align with the Gold Hoarders if that's their favourite faction, or the Servants of the Flame if they want to progress their Hourglass a tad faster. The idea of faction alignment makes sense when you consider it was sort of teased back in the Orb teaser last year, showing the 4 factions, but has since evolved to be sovereign emissaries only. I mean, you can make a guild that only sells to one faction, but you get penalised for it in the current state. On top of this, if guilds want to change their faction alignment, the leader will have to pay a high number of doubloons or gold to change it to a new one. I'm thinking 10,000 doubloons or 10 million gold, since the choice should be important, and you can be part of 3 guilds at once. It's also worth noting that alignments with the sovereigns would not be included, since they already have an emissary and you can sell all loot to them with little to no risk. Hideouts is a big one, and I've seen this requested for years, even more so in the run up to Season 10's release and in the wake of guilds being teased at the end of last year. Hideouts would be a natural progression of the originally promised captaincy update, and yes, I get to talk about this again. The original concept of captaincy was ship ownership, albeit a little bit more different than we see now, crew commendations, which were replaced with milestones, and the ability to sail your ship out of the Athena's Fortune hideout. The last part has not come to fruition, and when asked about it, Mike Chapman has stated that Rare very much want to do this. What better way to introduce this than with guilds? With the implementation of trinkets and decorations on our ship, which are placeable in the tavern, and furniture available as options on our ships, why not allow us mini hideouts that we can personalise? These hideouts would not be accessed in the world, but act as a jumping off point for guilds, where you can choose to load into them from the menu. Once a guild has a hideout, anyone in that guild can choose to hang out there. Having a small social area and tavern that you can decorate with trinkets and furniture would be a great source of progression, with guild trinkets being displayed, as well as new furniture added to the unlock paths. Players in the guild could also choose which ship to sail on if they want to spawn at an outpost, burst out of the water randomly, or go straight into Hourglass. Small emissary effigies will be available to get you right into the action with supply vendors. I would keep the outposts as the places to shop and buy quests. As for size, the extended Athena hideout and Reaper's Lair tavern would be about the correct size for me, with the appropriate amenities added. It's something players have been asking for ages, and would be an amazing way to bolster the social aspect of guilds and flesh out the progression and rewards. Finally, Guild Wars is a staple of other games that have guilds in them, but in its current form, I think guilds are too small to facilitate this properly. I also don't think guilds should be made bigger based on the speed of the progression in the game. We already have guilds at their first distinction in less than a week, so bigger guilds is not the answer. However, like the captain logs, what if you can sell guild crests to the Reaper's Bones or the Sovereigns, where guilds with bigger distinctions can be sold for more? That way you create some sort of infamy system where you're rewarded for hunting down high level guilds. Although I don't think the scope for guild wars is there unless you choose to have hourglass battles against other guilds, but that would also require other progression systems to make it feel worth it, and then people would just abuse it and farm wins with their friends. Even then, it might as well be another hourglass faction anyway. So yeah, it works for big guilds, but small guilds of up to 24 players doesn't really work. As guilds are a very new feature, I hope Rare will revisit them to update them, instead of just seeing this as an evolution of captaincy and leaving it at that. It has a bunch more potential, but I ask you, what do you want to be added to guilds? Let me know in the comments below. And yes, I know about the hit reg and server issues, I'm not asking about that. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.